Thanks for checking out a new episode of Bad Advice with Chris Cubis, the show where unqualified people give unsolicited advice. This week I'm joined by comedian Kai Krebs and returning guest Carina Magyar. Breast implants, teenage drinking, amputation fetishes. This episode has it all. Give it a listen. Welcome to Bad Advice with Chris Cubis, the show where unqualified people give unsolicited advice. We are back with a brand new episode for your ear holes. Vaccination update. Your boy is fully vaccinated, a few weeks past his second dose, which means that last weekend I went out in public with like a mask, and I still stayed 12 feet from people, and I'm not a monster, but I sat on an outside patio with my fiance and had cocktails like a normal human existing in a sane world. It's possible, people. I'm not like, look, I understand depending where you are, the vaccine isn't as available. Just get it when you can. Hold tight. Do the social distancing. Even after you get it, make sure you're still being responsible because we don't know all of the facts. But God damn it, man. It felt... I heard music on a jukebox I wanted to skip. You know how long it's been since I wanted to, like, I had to put up with other people's music while I was drinking? It was amazing. So definitely do that shit. We are joined today by returning guest, comedian extraordinaire, podcast host, Carina Magyar. How's it going, girl?
Oh, man, I am half vaccinated, and you are just bragging in my face right now.
That's a wild flex. I got my vaccination card laminated. I'm about to put that shit on a chain. That's the new flex for sure. Now, where are you now? Are you?
Our listeners can't see this, but this is what my dog did to my vaccination card.
Shoot the shit. That's so funny.
What you can't see is that is 3 pieces of Scotch tape to reassemble it too.
Yeah. I wonder if when you go for your second one, they'll like just.
Oh, they're gonna give me a fresh one.
Give you a fresh one. Yeah. Give you. Hold on.
They better. I mean,
Yeah. Also with us, comedian, podcast host, Austin defender on the internet, Kai Krebs. How's it going?
Good. I am also on my first round of the vaccine.
Nice.
It took me a second to figure out how I qualified, but it turns out it's because I smoke.
There you go.
To all of those fussy people behind me in line at Walgreens that would say stuff like, those are going to kill you, you know, I would like to say checkmate.
Yeah, I got it for being fat, so it all works out, man. All my bad decisions really came to pay off in this year, so it's working out.
Yeah, they call it a comorbidity. I call it an advantage.
There it is. But now I think it's open to everybody in Austin at this point, right? It just opened up, and they're doing that in a lot of places, man. We're getting there. We're fucking... getting there. I'm doing a comedy show at a venue on Friday. What? It's pretty wild. Kai, have you done the Zoom thing?
I have done some Zoom shows, but I also am on Zoom all day for work, so like it all just blends together at this point. Like just like one long fever dream.
For sure. And Carina, I asked, I'm not sure I heard you. Where are you these days?
Here, I'm in Austin.
You're still in Austin? I wasn't sure. I thought maybe you were moving. Maybe I'm crazy.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm moving in August.
Oh, okay. Right on.
Yeah. So it's coming soon. In fact, we're starting to plan like the trips out there to pick out the apartments and whatnot. Nice. No, still here, and I'm keeping my house here, and I'm going to be back here a lot. So I'm not making a big like farewell to do because I ain't going nowhere, really.
Yeah. and Kai, as I said in your intro, you were hot on the internet the other day. You were getting into it.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to do, so I don't know. It's I'm just a hostile person now. Like the last year has undone decades of self-care and work that I've done on myself. It's all been unraveled.
Yeah. So now it's just time to take it out on other people. I like it. I think there's like one thing I think maybe some people have come out of this pandemic with. If you've come out the other side okay, I do think it's with a little bit more of like, well, fuck it, this is who I am like you kind of find yourself in this because you haven't had, you know what I mean? So if there's a positive, I think there's more people that are like, no, I'm going to say what the fuck I'm going to say because whatever, like we could all die at any moment and I haven't left my house to interact with other people, so I'm really set in my ways and this is what the fuck we're going to do.
Yeah, I've noticed people are a lot more blunt now than they used to be. The old like veneer of social, like we just got back from the dog park where we were all like kind of doing the masked up dog park thing. And we saw someone wearing a White Sox jersey. So, of course, my girlfriend goes, "Are you from Chicago?" And the guy says, yeah. She goes, "Yeah, we're moving back there." And he just went, "Don't do that. That's really stupid."
Yeah. But also, like, how much of that is quarantine and how much of that is just being from Chicago?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hard,
especially South Side. South Side attitude for sure. But yeah, no, I was like, you know what? I like this better. I like this world better where we just say what we think.
Yeah.
I think I can navigate that world.
Speaking of saying what you think, let's get into some of these letters. Now, Kai, what is your familiarity level with Dear Abby?
I see the ones that go really viral where she gets super sassy with people, but aside from that, like I'm not like an avid reader or anything, but I understand what Dear Abby is.
You know the context, you know that it exists. I've had some guests on here that are like, so what am I doing? And it's like, you're 40, man. How have you not lived in this world? I'm not saying you got to subscribe to the newsletter, but I think you've heard of it at some point. All right. That being said, let's jump in here. I'm trying to decide how weird I want to start us off with. Let's get pretty. No, we'll scroll. We'll save the pretty weird for a little bit. Let's try this one. Dear Abby, I'm a 46-year-old man who has been divorced for 6 months. I recently moved down to South Florida for a new job. I'm trying out the dating scene, but it's been difficult because I was married for 10 years. Abby, it is hard to find decent, intelligent women down here. All the women I've dated so far have had breast implants. These not only look strange, but also feel uncomfortable during intimate moments. These women get a lot of looks from other men who gawk at their chests when we're together. Would it be wrong of me to ask a woman, say within the first few dates, if her breasts are real? I don't care if they're big or small. I just want them real. Signed, needs a real woman in Florida. Oh, fingers up, Carina. All right, you can go ahead and start on this one.
He's 46. Mm-hmm. He's 6 months divorced. Mm-hmm. He moved to South Florida. He's having a hard time finding women, and he's troubled by the amount of fake tits he sees. He wants to know whether or not he can ask on the first date or not. Of course you can, sir. You paid for it.
You can ask when you fill out the form on the website,
Absolutely.
I'm assuming.
He is not catching all of these fake-titted fish with a net, is what I'm saying.
I would also say that, like, I'm just going to put this out here, no offense. Maybe if you don't want a bunch of fake tits, North Florida, even? I don't know. I feel like those, like, just maybe you picked the wrong location to move to. It does seem like, look, you get into this thing, particularly with some gross people on the internet that are like, well, if it's like is a preference okay versus a prejudice? You know what I mean? There are people that say like, oh, I prefer to date this ethnicity or this body type or whatever. But I feel like a preference, I don't want to say it comes with privilege, but it does. You have to have you have to be worthy of the preference. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's a very beggars can't be choosers situation as far as I'm concerned. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's something that we see a lot in like the gay world too, where people be like, no fats, no femmes, it's just a preference. And it's like, I think the main difference between a preference and a prejudice is whether or not you say it out loud.
Valid point. Yes.
You can just swipe left.
Yeah. You don't need to, for sure.
But instead you're painting with this wide implant brush where you're just like, it's everyone else's problem, right? And I'm like, dude, let's look at the scorecard here. You're divorced.
Yeah. You are a 46-year-old recently divorced. But also I also love this idea that like he just has to know right away, as if his day is going to be completely ruined if he touches a slightly harder than normal boob. It's just gonna completely fuck him up.
I love the head fake he put in there. It sounds like I'm gonna go ahead and assume this dude's white. Is that okay with everybody? Yeah. It does sound like a 46-year-old white guy playing basketball because he threw that really lame ass head juke in of like, I'm having a hard time finding smart girls. Anyway, here's my problems with tits.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think the smart.
That's 100% true. He brings his heart to decent, intelligent women, and then it's straight to titties.
Straight to tits.
That's so funny. Because, like, let's say this. Let's say he meets a fucking eligible doctor who, like, does charity work on the side, but just happens to have a giant fake rack. Is he still going to be like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm really looking for an intelligent, decent woman with a B cup? I don't buy it.
I also doubt his qualifications here. He may not know the difference between real and fake tits. There are a lot of hard tits out there that Mother Nature endowed, and there are some extremely expensive and very luxurious memory foam tits out there if you know where to look. So,
yeah, the kind of tits you can jump on with a glass of wine. You don't spill none. I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Astronaut titties. But like, that's very funny. But no, 100%. You are absolutely true. I don't trust his qualifications on judging if the breasts are real to begin with. But also this idea that like he is so. Again, I get back to this preference idea that like you can't have anything. You have to have exactly what you want. Like your perfect person when you are, as far as I can tell, bringing nothing to the table. Like he says he moved to South Florida for a job. You had to manage that Hooters. Like why did you have to move to South Florida for this gig?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if you're going to submit something like that where you're complaining about other people having fake tits, you should also have to send in like your most recent selfie.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Like, just so that way we can see exactly what you're working with, because I mean, like at the end of the day, like if you're just like unkempt beer gut, holes in your t-shirt, just being like, I don't understand why I can't find an intelligent woman with breasts of my preference. Like,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, but
I do think we haven't addressed his question. Though we haven't addressed his particular question.
Which is it okay to ask? What date can you ask about the tits?
You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
I would like to say, on behalf of, since we don't have any straight women on the show tonight, I'll play the part of that as the closest representative. On behalf of straight women everywhere, please don't just ask on the first date. Make it your first question, because it saves so much time.
So much time.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
exactly. If that's what you care about, ask in the message before the first date, because then you can just filter yourself out of a lot of situations that will make the other person uncomfortable.
Also, let's put a bunch of this aside for a second, and let's take his side if we can. Try to.
Okay.
Let's say that he just he has it's like he's like an anti-masker. He has a medical reason for having to know if this woman has a fake boob. He has some sort of silicone allergy or something, whatever it is, right? I feel like you can't ask on the first date. I don't know that you can ask. It seems insane. I don't know if there's a good time to ask. I think a reasonable person, sometime into the relationship, after a number of intimate encounters, let's say, you can maybe bring it up when you hit a comfort level. I also think, and I've never been with a woman that I know of that had fake boobs. Maybe they have, I don't know, but I would assume that a woman's gonna mention that at some point. Do you think she's gonna keep that from her intimate partner? No, you think that's something like if you're in a relationship with someone, you're just not gonna tell them?
I think either the tits will speak for themselves, or they're so good that there's no reason to bring it up. Yeah. I mean, I just don't. I think you obviously won't hide the fact if you get asked. Yeah. I don't think there's any woman out there like, oh no, my imposter tits or whatever. But like, I also don't think it's just irrelevant to how a woman thinks. It's completely irrelevant.
That makes
like you're looking at my body in this dress. You were attracted enough with me to go on a date. So if I have fake breasts, I think they did their job.
Right.
The women just aren't thinking in terms of how do they feel to your fingers. That's not where your fingers are supposed to be anyway.
Fair enough. That makes perfect sense.
I almost want to parse the question a little bit farther, because I look at it as like, whenever he's like, is it okay? Like, it's almost asking, like, you're asking if you could, not whether or not you should. Like, like that old science ad.
Yeah.
Because, like, you can ask on the first date. You just have to buckle up for what's going to happen after you ask.
Be prepared to duck, but yeah, you could ask if you want, for
like,
sure.
Like, you can ask, but some people probably are not going to take that super well. But also, if you're the kind of person that wants to ask on the first date, I feel like you should keep asking on the first date, so that way you're either A, not wasting that woman's time so she can move on, or B, you find the woman who just doesn't give a fuck about that question. It's just like, no, they're real. And then you move on.
Yeah, fair enough. Also, I would like to address the last sentence in this question, because I don't believe it. I don't care if they're big or small. I just want them real. I don't believe you, sir.
No.
Why do you keep dating these big fake titty women? Like, I'm not buying it. I think you have a type, and I think you are somehow uncomfortable with the fact that, like, your body type often doesn't exist. Like, you've been so addicted to porn that you want a porn star body. Well, guess what? Those are made in a lab for the most part. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 100%. I think we can tell this dude, just fucking grow up. I think that's our final answer to
absolutely
real in Florida.
46 is getting a little too old.
I can't even imagine. Like, I'm in a very long-term committed relationship, I'm engaged. So, like, dating at this age it sounds insane. But what sounds even crazier is possibly caring about fake boobs. Like, like it just seems like I could see like a 20-year-old who's dumb, and even then, even at 20, I don't think I would have given a shit. But like, I could see a 20-year-old posturing like it matters. You know what I mean? I could see that like 20-year-old edgelord bullshit idea of like trying to be this like masculine whatever. But like at 46, man, like you gotta move. I'm glad you moved out. You got a place of your own in South Florida, but like, I don't know. You gotta grow up a little bit, I think.
Yeah. Because those are just the kind of questions where you're just painting everything bad that's happening in your dating life. It's like, why is it everyone else's problem? No, that's you got to grow up a little bit.
100%. Let's move on. Dear Abby, my wife and I shop at an upscale shoe store. On the past 2 visits there, a middle-aged salesman kissed my wife's hand when we left. I was surprised but not offended, considering it to be nothing more than an old-fashioned expression of courtesy. The man is knowledgeable, helpful, and honest. My wife, however, disagrees. She says this gesture is forward and inappropriate, and I should resent it. Who's right? Signed, TR in Houston. Here's who's right. Your wife. It's her hand. If she's offended, then that's the end of the... If she doesn't like it, that's the end of the question. But also, what old-timey haberdasher are you going to where this man is kissing your wife's hand?
Yeah, exactly. Why did you let Pepe Le Pew fetch your shoes from the back room, you know?
Also, frankly, if he's helping you pick out a shoe, he's got to really work his way up your body to get to the hand.
Very true. Also, he's only middle-aged. So how, like, if he was, let's say, 100, okay, maybe that was an acceptable form of expression to kiss a lady's hand. But, like, if you're, let's say, 50, we'll call it middle-aged, even though it's definitely younger than that, let's call it 50, that you didn't grow up in a time where you miladied some woman's hand when you left her. Like, that's not what, you know what I mean?
Yeah, does it mention in the letter at what point in the transaction the hand kiss occurred?
When we left, it was a parting
on the
kiss.
Exit.
On the
See,
exit.
okay, let's go ahead and rank these.
Okay,
a hand kiss. A hand kiss upon first greeting. That's a nice, pleasant warning from a man that he is going to be odd around you, and you can prepare for it.
Appreciated, but unappreciated. Yes. Thank you for letting me know up front that I need to keep my hand on my pepper spray. I understood.
Yes, exactly. That's the best possible. I think second best is the kiss on your way out the door. That's strange, but maybe he's from Latveria or wherever, wherever Balky Bartokomous is from.
Doesn't reference an accent. This strikes me as 48-year-old white dude. I think this is the dude from the previous letter.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yes.
But there's a lower step that I can see why the husband's confused, because it's not like he was smooching on her hand while putting the shoe on her foot. That would be
that's very clearly bad.
Bad behavior. Yeah.
Yeah, like halfway to hog tying a pig like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, so I think we can all agree, creep move. Don't be kissing women's hands. What are you doing? This isn't the Ren Fair. You're in a shoe store, not right? But what is is it just a Ren Fair dude? There are some people that are just weird and don't necessarily have ulterior motives to their weirdness, right? This could theoretically, and I tend to think shoe store salesman goes one of two ways. It either goes harmless weirdo because you're like comfortable putting on people's shoes all day, or it goes fucking fetish weirdo, right? Those, to me, that's where my thought process lies. But this guy could just be a weird dude who is just like I said, he's a Ren Fair guy on the weekends, and that bleeds into his regular life. There is that possibility, however rare. Do we think he's trying to fuck? What is the hand kiss move?
Well, that's the thing is, I wish that the wife would have been the one to write the letter, because I would like to know how much effort he had to go to get her
get to the hand. Yeah. Is he trying to shake it? She's pulling it away. There's a lot.
Yeah, was it as she passed him, did she hand him money and he just went, oh, thank you, and picked it up and kissed it to where you're okay, well okay, I mean, he had the opportunity, or did he have to catch you as you are turned around walking out the door and how much effort did he go to?
Absolutely.
How grabby is this cobbler?
I do think you're right that the profession creates even more of a gray zone here, because there is something about a Neiman Marcus salesperson, shoe store person, maybe hairdresser. These are professions in which a hand kiss is ambiguous. It's not like the guy who sold her the gun at Walmart grabbed her hand to kiss it, or a doorman on her building. You know what I mean? It's not an instance in which it's what? This is the kind of person who might end up being a hand kisser, is somebody who goes into those professions. So you're touching body parts all day. You lose boundaries. I don't know.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, because that's the point, too, is that he just says upscale. So does upscale mean that you are at, the shoe section of a Nordstrom?
Right.
Or does it mean that you're at a place that's, specifically designed to be sort of an old-timey cobblery experience?
So I think it is a shoe... It's the line is, we shop in an upscale shoe store. So to me, that is a store that specifically just sells shoes. Now, is it a fucking DSW, or is it, you know what I'm saying? That does lead me, my question is, what is this person's idea of upscale? I would also ask why this sentence is included. The man is knowledgeable, helpful, and honest. I'm not sure how you judge that third quality in a shoe transaction, but this husband seems to be going to a lot of effort to excuse the hand kisser. Yes. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
He is fine with it, and he's including all these positive traits to sort of set the table to make himself sound more right, which is making me question if maybe he and the shoe salesman have exchanged a couple knowing glances, and they're trying to work a shoe cuck situation out. Is that unheard of?
I was wondering if maybe the husband had gotten the soft kiss on the hand before, and he was like, this is kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when a guy gets flowers. You don't always expect it, but when it happens, you're like, oh, this is actually very sweet. I like it. It's nice.
It's like,
no one's ever kissed my hand before.
Or I like it's odd, but it's comforting in a weird way.
Yeah, exactly. I just assume this man doesn't have a boss. Right?
Oh, no,
he has to be the entrepreneur of said
the
shoe store.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which
because...
makes it worse. To me, a little bit. You decided to go into the shoe business. You lean more creepy to me. If you end up in the shoe business, desperation, capitalism makes criminals, all of us, whatever it is, you might have ended up in a place where now you're 10 years into the shoe thing, you found out you had an accidental talent for it, now you're the shoe guy. But if you got a business loan, you went to a bank because your passion was shoes, I don't trust you as much. Can I throw out this one, and I'm sorry to interrupt?
No.
Is he just a weird gay dude? And weird gay dude, I just mean like, I don't mean that gay dude is weird. What I mean to say is he a weird gay dude, because I do think there is look, I'm very open. I'm often wrong on this podcast, so correct me if I am. Gay men are often in the fashion industry. That's not a crazy thing to say. I'm not saying that like high percentage of gay men are in the fashion industry, but maybe a higher percentage of men in the fashion industry. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe I'm just a fucking asshole. But it does seem to be a thing that like I've seen gay dudes be more into shoes than straight dudes. Am I nuts?
No. I mean, like that's a fair qualification.
Right. So like, is this hand kiss thing just him being like, maybe he is older and he's like an older sassy gay dude, and this is just his weird. You know what I mean?
This is part of his flamboyance. I guess.
Yeah, because we don't. Also, I want to throw this into the question. He's in Houston, right? TR in Houston. So like, Southern older gay guy. We have like a designing women kind of gay, if that makes any sense. Am I too old of a reference?
No.
Like a gay character that would be on Designing Women. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's Anthony. I know Anthony's supposed to be not gay, but it's Anthony. His name is Anthony, by the way. There's no way that the shoe salesman's not an Anthony of some stripe, you know. I don't know, Kai. What do you...
I just want the wife to write a follow-up letter and be like, first of all, it was at a Foot Locker. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Meanwhile, the husband's just like, he's knowledgeable, compassionate, great body, honest. Like,
yeah, I think he's more into the shoe salesman than the wife is. And also, I bring it back to the thing I said at the beginning. Your wife is uncomfortable.
It's her hand.
That's how it ends. It begins and ends with that, 100%.
That's clearly the answer back to this guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, back up your wife, you piece of shit. Like, and here, I'm not saying you gotta fucking murk this dude. You don't have to knock him out in the store or whatever, but you can make it clear that, hey, don't kiss my, like, there is a way to politely dissuade this man from kissing your wife's hand and continue to shop in that store. I think you can do both.
Or
I got it.
Okay.
You could. All right, here's how you do it without bowing up. Because it sounds, part of the question is your wife's kind of suggesting you didn't defend her honor.
100%.
Right.
Which is, I think, still a thing in Houston. Yeah. And so I think instead of like bowing up on the sales guy, which is like, what's the point? Don't start a confrontation in a shoe store. It doesn't end well. I say next time it happens, shoe salesman kisses your wife's hand, you gently grab the shoe salesman's hand and kiss it.
Love it. Problem solved.
We were right in the same vein, because I was going to say, or then after he kisses your wife's hand, you stick your hand out and expect to kiss
as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Either one works. Either one works. Those are perfect answers to this problem. Also, because I think either one gets you the answer that you want, which is this guy a weirdo, or is he trying to fuck me and my wife? I think that's the ultimate question.
I thought you were going to say he gets him the answer he wants. Is this guy into me?
Yeah, well, that's my point. It's into either of you. That's my point.
Yeah.
If you go and kiss his hand after, and he's like, "What the fuck?" He's not. He's just a weird guy. And the same if you put your hand out in front of him and he's also weird. He's just a weird dude. But if he's good with either of those things, you guys got a date on Friday. That's how that works.
He's golden.
Yeah. You guys, I love it. That's awesome.
Absolutely. The final takeaway is if your wife says, I don't like him kissing my hand, then you just go, no, I completely understand. And you don't go, Great Gatsby, live a little. Like,
Okay, let's move on to our next question. Let's go ahead and do... Okay. Dear Abby, a young family member, Missy, age 18, has been doing nude centerfolds for almost a year. Her mother signed the approval paperwork for her because Missy was still 17 at the time of the first photo shoot. Since then, there have been many more photos and nude videos. Missy's grandparents practically raised her and don't know about what she's doing. The rest of the family is aware of it. Her mother says it's Missy's responsibility to tell her grandparents. The rest of the family would prefer the mother to tell them. We all realize we have been part of this conspiracy. Oops, sorry, I scrolled too far. Bear with me for 1 second. We all realize we've been part of this conspiracy. When our parents find out and realize that everyone else knew, they will feel betrayed. I am afraid this will tear our family apart. Missy has shared all this with her high school friends and others, so it may just be a matter of time before the grandparents hear about this. Is there a way to keep the family from falling apart over this? Signed, Covered Up in the Deep South. Now, I will say that this is a slightly older letter, although not pre-internet old. It's only like from like maybe 2015, I think. So like, it's not OnlyFans, although I think this would just apply to that as well, except for approval paperwork. I don't know that you can sign, your parent can sign a permission slip for you to make child pornography. I don't think that works.
I don't think so. No.
That's immediately where I went. I was like, hold on, we're asking about the etiquette of a situation in which everybody involved is going to go to jail. Really don't think that's the problem.
I'm just picturing Missy holding up a piece of paper like, I have a permission slip.
Yeah. So when the cops kick in the fucking storage unit you're using for this photo shoot. Yeah, I would like to go back. Obviously, we can all agree something is not right in this family. Yeah, now, that is not to say that I have any problem with a legal adult woman. You're 18, I'm old, so to me you're still a child, but like you are of legal age as far as signing contracts and being able to make decisions for yourself. That's what we've agreed. So if you're 18 and you have the legal right to go do a thing and you want to start an OnlyFans or go pose, whatever, God bless, do your thing. But what family is like, this is like it's World War II when you're trying to sign up for the draft, but you're still 17 or whatever, so you got to take your cousin's license or whatever. Like, where is the parents that signed this permission slip? Which we can all agree is like just a man scamming these people into taking pictures of their daughter naked, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
100%. This was like a dude at a mall who walked up to someone and was like, your daughter's got nice facial features. And then he has
a business card, but he needs it back because he only has one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he works for Barbizon, but it's spelled with like 5 B's somehow. Yeah,
I will say, I am glad that you clarified it's 2015 because when you said it was older, for a second, I thought we were dealing with the actual girl from Reba McEntire's Fancy.
Not that
and I got really concerned.
Understandable. Yeah, my biggest concern here, like, we'll get to the grandparents, but obviously I want to talk about these parents because what we have to do when we read these letters is on some level, take that the event occurred. Right? We can judge the people's motivations and biases, but if we're going to read this, we have to assume that at least some of it is factually accurate. So I believe that this girl has been taking naked pictures for God knows what, and I believe that the parents know about it. It feels like the whole family except the grandparents do know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to tell the grandparents in this situation because it does create, if you don't tell them, and I know you don't want to keep secrets in the family, but hear me out, family. If you keep this secret and the grandparents find out, there's only one way they did.
Yeah.
And now you know something.
That's true.
Very true. And question, is it grandma or grandpa that finds out? It's a different... Because also, I want to say this. Let's, in some weird... All right. This is a out there, I'm just going to say it. Let's say we are talking about, so she's 17 when these things started, right? Let's say this is like, and maybe, and also I don't know what weird state this is, so who knows, they're fucking covered up in the deep south. Age of consent law is wild down there, right? Also, please don't start talking about age of consent laws. You sound like a creep. But that being said, my point is this. Maybe there is some, let's say this is Vanity Fair. Let's say this is on the, like, most, hear me out. This is like, somehow she really is a model, and she's taking modeling pictures for a very upscale, reputable thing, right?
Sure.
I don't believe that's happening, but let's say that's the thing, right?
Okay.
So maybe the parents aren't so crazy, and then maybe the grandparents do find out. Is it that goddamn bad? I don't know. Here's my point. Grandparents, if the whole family is okay with this, and they shouldn't be, but let's just say they are, I don't think the grandparents are going to be that wild. They raised the rest of these people. I don't know that the grandparents are good. Like, I don't think you have Christian, morally upstanding grandparents, and then also a whole family that's like, yeah, go take your tits out, teenager. Like, that doesn't seem like the same family.
But I think an important point of clarification is at the beginning of the letter where it says that the grandparents practically raised her. So to give the parents the credit of maybe they're not crazy probably isn't 100% fair. Because usually you don't get raised by your grandparents unless your parents are fucking up.
If your parents are the most stable people, that's very true. That's very true.
That is
really
true.
Thought about that.
But you know what?
There's a lot of chaos going on here anyway.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of on the side of the grandparents don't get a vote. Sure. It's so either the grandparents are either Washington D.C. or Puerto Rico. They're either the seat of government and therefore have a lot of control, or they're just some random islands. It doesn't matter. Either way, they still don't officially have a vote because they're the grandparents. That's the beauty and the pain of being a grandparent is you really don't have a say unless you are directly the guardian of the child, at which point the grandparent thing is more technical. But I feel like, I don't know. My gut instinct, anytime somebody's like, oh no, the grandparents or the aunts or the uncles or what will the family think? From my personal experience, fuck them.
I was going to say, you said earlier you don't want to keep secrets. I think America is a lot like a family is a lot like America and Duncan. America runs on Duncan, as the commercial goes. A family runs on secrets. Everybody just needs to shut the fuck up, get through Thanksgiving dinner, and mind your own goddamn business.
I look at it like this. I don't think that anyone needs to know every single thing about you in order for you to say that there's any sort of like legitimacy or degree of realness to your relationship. Because I have had 2 out of my 4 grandparents die without knowing that I'm gay. Right. And frankly, that saved us a lot of headaches and conversation.
I am sure. 100%.
And I don't feel bad about it because, like me being gay, for example, is not my entire identity. The same way, like somebody doing pornography or sex work is not their entire identity. Like they still know you, they still spend time with you, they still know the things you like, who you are, your interests, things like that. So they still know you. They don't have to like know you. Like
no, 100%.
I don't know. I feel like it's fine if they don't know what your areolas look like.
That's
absolutely.
Probably for the best.
And let's be honest, if she started at 17 and is continuing a year later and has been in multiple centerfolds, that's the premier spot. This is the top real estate.
Top real estate.
This girl's going pro. I mean, this is
very true. She's going places for sure. Those places likely an auction block in Dubai, but she's going places for sure.
It's going to be a fast, hot, short career. It's going to be like a running back, but that's okay. She's got talent.
Agreed. Let's go ahead. I got some other. We're getting progressively weirder with some of these, so let's see. We can do a couple more, I think, before we get out of here. Let's try. Decisions. This is around the similar thing, not as weird, but a similar area. My dear Abby, my son Jason is a 17-year-old high school senior honor student. Sorry. My wife and I have managed to establish a fairly open relationship with our children. We encourage honesty and have attempted to establish mutual respect. Recently, Jason asked if he could have 7 or 8 friends over to drink. My wife, reasoning that if teenagers are going to indulge in alcohol, it's better for them to do it in a safe, controlled environment, said yes. I, on the other hand, said no, based on the fact that the parents of the other teens would not approve. Jason admitted that was, in fact, the case. While I agree with my wife's reasoning, I refuse to allow my house to become the place where teens can gather to drink without their parents' knowledge. Jason is now upset with me, and I'm afraid he may no longer be willing to confide in me. In my heart, I know I made the right decision, but my relationship with my son means the world to me. What do you think? Signed, Torn in Houston. We're back in Houston. Did you guys have the house where it was the parents did it was cool to drink here house? No, you did not, Carina? This is all
No, but I grew up in the most Mormon part of Denver. Okay. No such houses existed. So, like, this is all theoretical. Everything I know about this, I learned from watching movies. But I have a strong opinion.
Okay, I would like to hear your strong opinion, please.
Which is totally team wife here. That when we look back on Prohibition as a nation, who were the heroes? The people who opened and ran speakeasies. I mean, she's absolutely right. And it's how I feel I've thought about this with my own kids. Like, when they reach the age where drinking's going to be a temptation, I will sacrifice the health of them and the health of every neighborhood kid around to have them drink in my home rather than sneaking around, risking arrest, and getting drinking and driving. You know what I mean? Like, I just think it's a more responsible way to help kids navigate alcohol, to go ahead and provide at least a speakeasy. But I would find a pretty creative way to rat on those kids to the other parents. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? If I know that the other kids' parents don't approve, I'm going to do what I can to let that knowledge leak, because I don't think they shouldn't get in trouble for it. I'm just saying it's still the safer choice.
I am torn. Oh, Kai, go ahead. You look against
No, I'm right there with Carina, mostly because I was also that kid who did not have the safe place to indulge in things like that. And I will tell you exactly some of the choices that I've made. I have smoked cigarettes in the woods behind a church.
Sure.
I have done drugs in the middle of a fair, which, as we all know, are run by people who live life on the rails, typically, because you have to pick those rails up and bring them with you place to place.
That's very true.
I have drank in a parking lot. I have drank in a store. Like you just, because if you don't have a place to go, chances are, if that's something that you are exposed to and you're experimenting with, you're still going to find a way to do it. Like, that's just the end all be all of it. Like, because if you don't, and like, that's part of it, is like the interest in the taboo and like the hush hush around it, but knowing everyone around you is doing it. Yeah. And I've made some fucked up choices because of that, where I definitely should have gone to jail a few times, but luckily I'm very good at not getting arrested because I was raised by an attorney.
I am torn because for a couple of reasons. We'll start here. While I agree with both of you in principle, it is safer to have kids not drinking and driving. I also have been drunk by cows in my life, so I understand that you're going to drink where you're going to drink. I, however, have grown up in an environment where there was the "it's okay to drink here" house. That house is never as safe as you think it is.
That is very
you are both thinking of yourselves in this situation where you are adult, reasonable humans that have no interest in endangering children. The house that is like, no, it's cool. Yeah, there's weed downstairs. You got to keep an eye out for the uncles in that house. You got to keep an eye out for like weird dogs. It's never as fucking safe as you like to imagine it is in the movies.
That's true.
I also am torn for this reason. You're robbing your kids. Some of the best times of my life have been drinking in the woods, running from cops, figuring out with your friends how to get your hands on some booze illicitly. That's part of growing up. And I think you have to form those bonding relationships. I think there is I think there is a middle ground to be had here, which is if your kid is drunk, they need to know that you will drive them and they will never be in trouble for calling you when they're drunk. I think that is a very responsible, reasonable thing for a parent to do. I think you have to say, look, we'll pick you up and you will not get in trouble. No grounding, no nothing. This is just a safety thing. We are going to talk about your drunkenness, but like safe haven, you got it. You know, you have to know that you can call us when you're drunk. And you like, yeah, I don't know. I'm torn on this one, I think.
No, honestly, like, I mean, that, like, as a point of view, like, really does sway me. Because also, I do think that there's, like, a certain degree of, like, useful life skill in learning how to not, like, circumnavigate or, like, be sneaky or anything like that, but, like, you have to exercise a hell of a lot of problem solving in order to figure out how to get drunk when you are 16 years old.
Absolutely. You have to befriend the weird kid whose parents own the gas station.
Social skills?
Well, yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's a lot of things you got to learn how to do. You got to learn how to, well, I don't even know if you can do this anymore. We used to chalk IDs, they called it, where you would use a colored pencil to change the date on your ID. That's how old I am. There were no fucking whatever. It's like there was skill sets involved that'll help you later in life.
Yeah, you got to pass the SAT, score some alcohol test.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah, because you have to figure all of that out, and I like that is one of those situations where it's like you are truly either on your own or you have to work with a team building exercise in order to solve that task of getting a good buzz on some Boone's farm at 2 o'clock in the morning in the woods behind your friend's house.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think the wife is a little too eager to have a bunch of teenage boys drunk in her house. I'm just saying it. There's no hesitance. She didn't go, let's discuss it. She was just like, yeah, 100%, let's do this. I'll tap the first keg.
I honestly think there's probably some value in having the parents split on it too.
Sure.
Because I think that's I think like he could probably like keep, if the wife is weird like that, probably good at keeping her in check. Because I mean, if there's anything that like a drunk weirdo hates, it's somebody being on their case.
Yeah. Also, and I don't have kids, so ultimately I don't give a shit. But realistically, but that being said, like, I do think you're right. You can't make this decision for other parents' kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this could be, if you want to say, yes, you and your brother can drink here safely, or I've known kids who are like, my parents allow me to have a beer with them at dinner or on the weekends or whatever, a glass of wine. Like, that is a way to teach your kids a healthy relationship with alcohol. But you can't just also have, like, you can't make that decision for other kids. That's, I think, called child endangerment.
Oh, it's all very illegal.
Yeah. Texas is weird like that, though. If you can, it is legal for an establishment to serve a minor with their parent if the establishment wants to. In Texas, if you're a minor, you can serve. If you have a guardian, then you're allowed to serve that child, which is Texas shit. Because that sure as shit never heard of that anywhere else.
Yeah.
We can move. I just thought this was an interesting one. I was curious about your histories with drinking. Like, well, we might as well ask. When was... So you, like, Carina, you lived in Mormon, Denver.
Yeah.
Were you still getting drunk, or was it just, like, dry as shit?
No, first drop of alcohol was sophomore year of college. So I don't have much to say, because, like, this is all theoretical to me.
Well, now I'm interested in that. What is that like? Do you go fucking
normal?
wild?
It felt normal. I thought it was normal. I was shocked. I was genuinely verklempt when I found out that most people started drinking in high school or earlier. Yeah. I was like, what? I just did not know anybody who drank in high school.
Well, I mean, that's just the Mormon way is to have a quiet addiction to Oxycontin that you keep to yourself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got to take the pill through that hole in the sheet or whatever. Is that the Amish? I always mix those up.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably have a skewed perspective on it myself, though, because I grew up in Louisiana, where it's like you teethe on a buzz ball.
Yeah, it's too far. You're both on either side of the spectrum, for sure.
We are on the ends of the bell curve.
And then I grew up right in the middle, upstate New York. Very, just sort of working class. People, kids drank in the field. Someone would somehow get their hands on a keg, and then 80 people would show up at a bonfire and drink until the cops got called. Very, standard movie high school drinking experience.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. But that being said, got arrested at 16 for smoking weed in a mall parking lot. So everything comes with consequences. Let's go ahead and try. We can do maybe one, maybe two more before we have to wrap this up. And I'm saving the weirdest ones for last.
Oh, yeah.
This one's not even that weird, but it's interesting. And then we'll move on straight to the weirdest one. We'll wrap up. We'll see if we wrap up on the weirdest one. Dear Abby, my adult daughter Susie spent the weekend at our home, bringing along her boyfriend of 6 months. This was Liam's first visit. I allowed them to share Susie's old bedroom, which we have converted into a family office. We keep a large futon in there for my daughter when she comes to visit. I didn't make a big deal out of where Liam and Susie should sleep because I didn't want to embarrass them, and I was sure there would be no hanky-panky because our bedroom is right across the hall. Well, I was wrong. In the middle of the night, I was awakened by Susie's squeals and moans. Fortunately, my husband is a sound sleeper. The next morning, while my husband was out on his daily run, I let the kids have it, to the point of slapping Liam around a little. I told Susie her actions were disrespectful, and I was highly disappointed in her. Susie and I are no longer speaking, and I am miserable. Do you think I overreacted? Did I silently give permission for such behavior by allowing them to share the same futon? And did Liam really think it would be okay to have sex in my home? Signed, yes. Miserable Mom in Wisconsin. Wisconsin? Is that are you gasping at Wisconsin? What's up?
Yeah. Oh, I was waiting for the Midwestern nice part of this to come out. Yeah.
So yeah, So here's my thing. For starters, you can't slap a stranger around. Not okay.
He's an adult.
That's assault. He's in his. I'm not one of these men's rights activists, equal rights, equal fights people. But you hit me, you get hit. That's just the way that works. That's fair. You attacked me, I'm going to defend myself. Yeah. But also, I do have to question a little bit. You fucking right across the hall from your parents? That's not weird for you? As an adult? As a teenager, you do what you got to do. But as an adult, you're gonna loud fuck next to your mom's bedroom?
Hell yeah, every chance you get. Look, I admire and applaud Liam. I think he is the hero of this episode by far. And I really think that obviously Susie was having a good time. So I'm guessing there was a strained relationship to begin with there. Mm-hmm. But boy, do I understand the naivete of this mom. That whole Midwest. This is now we're in my wheelhouse. This is what I grew up with. The whole Midwestern nice thing. My girlfriend and I went to visit her parents in Chicago 6 months ago. We've been together a year. Right. She's in her late 30s. I'm in my early 40s. I have children. We slept in separate beds at her mom's house because they are no fucking fools. Right. This mom got exactly what she deserved. You don't want the kids fucking in your house? Don't put them in the same bed. Duh. You put them in the same bed, you hear them fucking? That's on you. That is absolutely on you. If you have feelings about that, enforce them in a smarter way.
My house.
That's all I got to say.
That's a very classic parent thing.
Put them in different rooms and then make them sneak around and shit.
Kai, what do you think?
I look back on it, and I almost view it as a small form of payback from the daughter. Because chances are, at some point in that girl's life, while she was young and living under that roof, she had to hear her prude-ass mom getting railed by her dad.
In Wisconsin?
Hey.
Those Midwest families are not small. There's a reason there's a lot of kids in those families.
Oh, I'm just saying they're not demonstrative. I'm not saying they don't fuck. I'm just saying they fuck like marshmallows, you know?
But I mean, I don't know. I feel like like if there's any child that stays up slightly past their bedtime, at some point they have probably heard something that was at least somewhat suggestive, and chances are this girl was like, "Yeah, well, you know what, Mom? Check this shit out."
I would like to bring up this angle, which I don't think has been addressed yet. She signs with, and did Liam really think it would be okay? Why are you taking your daughter's agency away in this?
Yeah.
Why do you think this was Liam's idea? Liam very well might have just been like, come on, let's just go to bed, and then the daughter had to do her thing. I don't think I think Liam's getting well, he had a good end of the stick initially, but now he's getting slapped around. Mom's blaming him for the failed relationship with the daughter. I think Liam is the unnecessary villain in this whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. Like I said, Liam's a hero because whether it was his idea or not, he went ahead and did his job in the house across from the mom. Like, dude, the performance alone of that, it's not something many men could muster. And the fact that he made it pleasurable. But I mean, how does she know that? How did she know that little Susie wasn't mad at Liam for falling asleep earlier and just went to town on herself? She only heard one party here.
We don't know. That's very true.
Yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, like, who's Liam going home with? You know, like, I don't know. It's like the mom.
An ice pack, I hope.
Well, the other thing is, like, with that, like, I don't want to say like overreaction to like people having sex across the hall from you, but like to have a large enough reaction to hearing something that you go fight club on your daughter's boyfriend.
Yeah.
I want
the first time you meet him.
Yeah, and it makes me want to know, like, what is squeals and moans? Like, did she just hear, like, a squeak or a peep and was like, I know what's going on? Or was she, like, fully feeling herself?
Yeah. Maybe getting a little dirty, word talking, who knows?
I want to know if it's exaggerated. That's all.
I think it might be exaggerated based on her use of the term hanky-panky as an adult with children. I think her ideas of squeals and moans might be exaggerated a bit. Yeah. I think here's the thing. Her question is, did I overreact? 100%. You cannot.
Yeah, totally.
You cannot attack your daughter's boyfriend and expect to maintain a good relationship. Did I silently give them permission for such behavior by allowing them to share the same futon?
Yes.
I hear your
yes.
I hear your yes. I hear your yes. I can understand where she made the mistake. As I can see a woman, again, who uses the term hanky-panky, assuming that they would behave in a certain way without being explicit about it. I can understand her making that assumption. She was wrong to do so, but I can empathize with her a little bit.
I don't know. They're not Hummel figurines. You can't just put them in the same cabinet.
Like,
very true.
Well, I mean,
noises.
like, she's saying that she didn't want to overreact by making a big deal about them not sleeping together, but then the next morning she, like, boxes him in the kitchen. It sounds like she was going to overreact no matter what the
It feels like maybe it's a trap. Also, I think maybe Liam's into it a little bit. I think you just helped that smacking around. That is probably, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Spicing things up a little bit. You just got beat up for fucking this girl? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You just got these two married. That's what you did.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. If her mom is that high maintenance, chances are the daughter might be a little bit high maintenance too, and that Liam just decided to put on his big boy condom and do what he had to do.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and do one more here. This is the weirdest one, and we may end on it, but if it gets too weird, we might try one after it just to be safe. Dear Abby! My husband and I have been married for 6 mostly blissful years, but recently, some of his fantasies have started to worry me. About 6 months ago, he told me he had an attraction to women with amputations. Naturally, I was confused. I didn't even know that was a thing, but I accepted it, even though I thought it was odd. 3 months ago, he asked me to do some role-playing, where he hid my leg under a towel to give the appearance of having a below-the-knee amputation, which he says is his favorite. I didn't like it, but I went ahead with it. But now things are getting too much for me. He recently told me that not only does he find amputees attractive, but he wants to be one. What do I do? Signed, In Weird Territory. Carina has slid back from her laptop.
I mean, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you take away the actual specifics here, and what we've got is a classic, I've got a fetish surprise in the middle of a relationship.
Yeah.
With the added twist of the fetish is not sexual.
Right.
But let's do it when we're having sex. And it doesn't matter what it is. It can be.
It is sexualized, but it's not a sexual act.
Right.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
And it doesn't matter if it's amputations, role plays. It doesn't matter if it's furry stuff, airbrush. It could be anything. What matters is the two of y'all need to get to a sex therapist real fast and figure out how to make this thing consensual. And if it's not consensual, it doesn't belong in the bedroom.
Very fair.
That's my 2 cents.
That is absolutely true. So here's my concern. They've been married for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't just figure this out.
No.
This is not a newly developed thing that he's into. I can't imagine. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't have the experience with that. It could be. Seems unlikely to me. It is, like you said, the very common, there's a fetish reveal. That feels like something you got to bring up before 6 years, man. Like, that is an unfair reveal because you know that this is a very extreme, and I'm going to use that word because I'm trying to not use shaming, but it is abnormal in the sense that it is outside of what most people would consider the norm, right? I'm not putting a judgment on that. It is just very different from what most people would consider quote-unquote normal. If you're going to get into a relationship with somebody, at that point, I feel like I'm going to marry you. We got to talk about the fact that I want you to hop. Like, that's got to come up.
Okay, I look at this one of two ways, right? So our first, because that's what we're trying to nail down, right? Is like, how long has he had this fetish and why is it coming up now? So the first one being that he had this fetish before they got married, and he just didn't bring it up or didn't talk about it. So that could possibly be an indicator of someone who's really repressed, and maybe they were just into BDSM, but because of that self,
like self-loathing or whatever.
Whatever the emotion around it is, that like repression of your feelings has made you overcorrect into I need to cut a leg off. Or 2, you have discovered this after you have been married, which means that you probably started looking at some sort of specific pornography that was around this topic, which is possibly indicative of some sort of rough patch in their marriage, where maybe he's looking for some sort of other outlet in terms of sex. Either way, still need to talk to a sex therapist, because that's either somebody that's dealing with some really weird repression that's maybe overcorrecting, or it's somebody who, I don't know, or it's a couple that's having like some genuine issues that they're not talking about, that it's just making him look for outside things, or I don't know, maybe he's just a completely normal dude who's just always liked chicks with one leg.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
It's that last twist though. It's not that it's not, I've always liked women without a lower leg. He also wants to not. That's the part where I'm like, that
wants to be an amputee. Now, I did once see a documentary about that. It was called Whole, WHOLE, and it was about people that like want to be amputees and how like they will go to some extreme lengths sometimes. They'll eventually like build guillotines to do self-surgeries. And the question was among doctors, is it... So the Hippocratic Oath says do no harm. You shouldn't cut off a perfectly healthy limb. That would be doing harm theoretically. However, if it's going to prevent somebody from laying on a train track to do it themselves, are you helping? That does, to me, push this past a simple fetish issue.
Yeah.
This is somebody who's dealing with something way more serious. Something that I did not think about when I put this letter, and is maybe too serious for this podcast.
I don't know. No, I think this is interesting.
A little bit ago, we were talking about a dude kissing a shoe salesman kissing your wife's hand, and now we're getting into what some would assume to be severe mental illness.
Well, no, I don't know if mental illness. I don't. Okay,
We don't
so
think
here's
mental illness to want to cut your leg. Okay. Very
no.
nope. All right.
I won't say that because there's
valid point.
cultural moment. Let's take the cultural moment and look at this. This could be drawn as an exact parallel, and that's why I said I don't care if it's amputation or not. This could be drawn as an exact parallel to transition issues. This is exactly how transition stuff shows up in a relationship. I, repressed feelings 6 years into a marriage, coincidentally, realized that all of my externalized fetishes about women were actually things that I needed to turn internally because I had issues to deal with for myself. And I went to a lot of therapy and I discovered, oh my God, I'm transgender. And then I came so if I look at it through that lens.
Okay, very true.
Yeah.
You have a
what I'm saying?
on this that has
he might not have gone into this.
No, I was going to say immediately told me to shut myself up because and that what's so. And I don't want to steal this because this is obviously something you're very important, but I do want to just take this moment as the dummy on this side of it for a second. People, when this happens to you, just fucking admit that you're wrong. And you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that have a trans, that go they have an issue with trans people or whatever it may be. And then you should listen to one trans person tell you their experience and then go, oh, I'll shut the fuck up. I'm clearly an idiot. I was clearly wrong. It should be that easy to see that perspective switch. It took me half a second and I'm not smart.
Yeah. You're smarter than you think. Anyway, the thing here is that you can totally go into a marriage not knowing this about yourself, and you can totally discover through certain triggers or even just the certain comfort of being in a loving relationship, the freedom to express yourself, and think, oh, it must be a sex thing because I feel it so strongly, and try it as a sex thing and realize that the point here is that given that you've been married for 6 years and it doesn't sound like anything truly damaging or what I would call weird has happened. It's not like he forced you to do something you didn't want to do. You were willing along the way. This is a therapy thing that may end up being a therapy thing for him. It might end up being a therapy thing for you guys both, but there's something to explore here that I bet won't end in amputation, but will bring you guys closer together. And I think that's something that anybody out there listening, even though you're on a joke podcast, needs to hear about. What seems like a weird fetish at first sometimes turns out not to be a sex thing at all. It turns out to be a misconception of your own identity that can be resolved through therapy.
I think that is a perfectly good place to wrap this up. We actually gave some good advice for once on this podcast. Yeah. Carina, what do you have to plug?
You can follow me on Twitch or on Twitter just by looking up my name, Carina Magyar, Magyar.
Awesome. And then Weird Brunch is the podcast?
Weird Brunch, 100th episode, dropping now. Check it out on all the podcasters.
Do that for sure. Kai, where can we find you? What can we...
You can find me just wandering around my house because Carina just blew my damn mind. Such a interesting and good perspective. Jesus. Okay. You can find I'm the exact same way in terms of branding. You can find me everywhere on the internet by just searching my name, Kai Krebs, KYKREBS. And you can also check out Out of Bounds Comedy Festival. Yeah.
Do that for sure. I am at Chris Cubis on all social media. If you like the show, take a minute, go to Apple Podcasts, give us a little 5-star review, give us a 5-star rating, leave a little review. It super helps us. Tell your friends, that helps us as well. If you are in the Austin, Texas area and you need a meal, redbeansaustin.com. Every Tuesday, the sign-up sheet goes live. We deliver free meals of red beans and rice every Sunday. And we'll be back next week with more bad advice.